I didn't hear a single alarm clock this morning. Not one, and in a city of 2 million people, that should be impossible, but it wasn't. I woke up sometime around 6, not because of a sound, because of the absence of one. My body knew something was wrong before my brain did. I lay still in the dark for a full minute, listening, waiting for the city to start its engine the way it always did. The distant rumble of the first buses, the garbage trucks, the construction crew 3 blocks over that started drilling by 7 every single morning. Silence. I sat up. Gray light was coming through the curtains. My phone showed 6,014 AM and 41% battery. I turned off the screen immediately. Every percent mattered now. I went to the window. The street below was completely empty. Not early morning empty the way it looks at 4 AM when there are still a few cabs and 1 or 2 joggers. I mean empty. Not a single person, not a single moving car. Just parked vehicles sitting in the half-light like they'd been abandoned there 100 years ago, slowly being swallowed by the city's silence. I watched for 10 minutes straight. Nothing moved. I ate cold soup from a can standing over the kitchen sink. I didn't bother heating it. Something about starting a flame felt like a commitment I wasn't ready to make. After I ate, I made a decision. I needed to see the neighborhood. I needed real information, not radio fragments, not speculation. I needed to understand the size of this thing. I dressed in layers. Packed a small bag, 2 water bottles, crackers, the hand-crank flashlight, my notebook, a folding knife my brother gave me years ago that I'd never once used for anything more serious than opening packages. I went outside. The morning air hit me like cold water. The street smelled different. I noticed it immediately, but couldn't name it at first. Then I understood. It smelled like nothing. No exhaust, no fruit carts, no burnt coffee drifting from the diner on the corner. The city had its own scent, this layered, industrial, human smell that you stop noticing after you live in it long enough. It was gone. Just cold air and something faintly chemical underneath, like ozone before a storm. I walked east toward the main avenue. Every traffic light was dead. Every storefront was dark. I passed a pharmacy with its door wide open, glass crunching under my boots. Someone had already been through it. Shelves visible from the sidewalk, stripped, not ransacked violently, just quietly emptied, like people had come and organized and taken what they needed and walked out again. That orderliness scared me more than broken glass would have. On the avenue, I finally saw people, a cluster of them, maybe 15 or 20, gather around a man in a red jacket who was speaking loudly enough that I could hear him half a block away. He was pointing at something on his phone, still had battery, still had a downloaded map, and people around him were nodding and whispering to each other. I approached. National Guard is staging at the Riverside Depot, he was saying. That's 6 miles north. If you're going, go now before the roads get bad. Bad how? Someone asked. A grocery store on 10th got taken apart last night. Windows gone, shelves gone. Heard there were 3 people who tried to stop it. He paused. Nobody knows where those 3 people are now. The crowd didn't react dramatically. No gasps. Just a quiet rearrangement in posture. Shoulders pulling in. Eyes glancing around. The particular body language of people recalibrating what they believe they're capable of. I wrote it all down in my notebook and kept moving. 2 blocks south, I found something that stopped me cold. A dog. A big one. A shepherd mix was sitting in the middle of the crosswalk, completely still, staring at the door of an apartment building. Not barking. Not moving. Just watching that door the way animals watch things that human beings can't perceive. The building door was slightly open. I stood there for a moment, looked at the dog, looked at the door. I didn't go in. Some instinct that I don't fully understand told me not to, and I've learned enough in the last 24 hours to start listening to those quiet signals. But I wrote down the address. The strangest thing I saw all morning was a diner that was still open. Not powered, the lights were out, the kitchen was cold, but the owner, a heavy-set man I vaguely recognized from years of walking past, had dragged 2 folding tables onto the sidewalk. He was serving food from what must have been his own home supply. Sandwiches, bottled water, a thermos of something hot. A handwritten sign on cardboard, free. Take what you need, leave what you can. I took half a sandwich. I left 2 cans of soup for my bag. He nodded at me like we'd made a deal. We probably had. By mid-morning, the tension on the streets had changed texture. Early on, it was fear, with a thin crust of denial over it, people convincing themselves this would be sorted out by afternoon. By 10 a.m., that crust was starting to crack. I saw two men arguing over a gas can in the parking lot behind the bank, voices rising, hands moving. I saw a woman loading her car methodically and efficiently, alone, not making eye contact with anyone, like she'd already decided something and committed to it. I saw a city beginning to understand that no one was coming. I was back at my apartment by noon, locking the door and pressing my back against it, thinking. The radio had picked up another fragment this morning. I hadn't mentioned it yet because I needed time to process it. 45 seconds of a male voice, calm and official, before the static swallowed it again. He said, "Do not attempt to travel to affected substations. The contamination perimeter is..." And then, nothing. Contamination, not damage, not failure. Contamination. I sat at my kitchen table and stared at my notes. The military vehicles that came through last night, scanning in silence. The official broadcast that cut off mid-sentence. The word contamination, said in a voice too calm for everything falling apart around us. This wasn't just a power outage. Someone knew exactly what happened, and they didn't want us to know. I found something else. In the notebook, a page that wasn't mine. I don't know when it got there.